I'll give it 7 more minutes, and then we'll just try it again another time. Give it 7 more minutes. That's okay. Hmm. I don't want people to eat. These are strategies of flank hiding battle, doing battle. Just reading this while I was waiting on y'all. Sun Tzu's The Art of War. I've been reading this book since I was young. A lot of these tactics, you know, are very, very helpful. And a lot of people haven't really used them a lot on our people because a lot of this is Asian philosophy. The European has come up with his own method. It's very, very simple. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate y'all for being here. You know, they wanted me, they thought that I was going to be discouraged because it took 25 minutes to get somebody in here. To the contrary. I'm a man of extreme patience and will. So that's what it looks like. It would only take one of y'all to cook. I don't even need two. Appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. Y'all see the title on the thumbnail. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Appreciate you for being here. Welcome to the Awesome and the Gizmo show. My daughter is asleep. Appreciate you for being here. You could be anywhere, however you're here with me. You see the thumbnail. Why am I doing this? Why is this important to me? Why? Well, I believe the masculinity, uplifting, and self-esteem of black men is absolutely under siege. And I believe that not, if it's not checked, if it's not corrected, then I don't believe we have a chance. And I believe that it's now or never. And so that's why I do this. Normally, if you're familiar with my content, I go off. You know what I'm saying? I take things very, very personal because to me it is personal. However, I'd like to take a very cerebral approach this evening and just look at these things as they are and not for anything else. And why these men and women do what they do. Why have they why have they decided to cast their own people aside? Thank you for hitting the like. I'm waiting to see if somebody in. I can usually say thank you, appreciate you for hitting the like. Why have these people decided to cast their own people aside? People that look like them, people that could be their brothers, sisters, uncles, fathers, cousins, you know what I mean, and so forth and so on. Why have our people been consistently disrespected to gain, for financially? And why are we always quick to sell each other out for for a few shillings? Why? Well, there's several reasons to that. Number one, the majority of us have never had anything. Hey, Mai, appreciate you for being here. Thank you, Mai. I know you're working. I know you're working this evening, so I appreciate you for being in here. Thank you so much. My this topic is extremely delicate to me, and normally I'm very, you know, I'm probably sticking my chest out. You know what I mean? And you would hear me you would hear me in a very boisterous fashion, and calling names, things of that nature. But however, tonight I like to deal with things from more of a cerebral standpoint. I would like to, be a little more subdued and just look at these things for exactly as they are. The gizmo just went to sleep about maybe 5 minutes ago, and yes, she did. So I'm here. So hopefully she had her bath, and I clipped her nails while she was up. I made a video on mine. Tell me what you think. I clipped the gizmo's nails while she was actually asleep. Excuse me, she was awake, and so I did her nails. Shout out to Introvert. Appreciate you for being here, Introvert. Thank you for being here. Thank you, chat. Why is this video important, y'all? And what do I hope to accomplish? Well, I think that would be the first place to start. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the chat, y'all. So y'all feel free to, ask questions and say things, and then I'll circle back because I would really like to go into a monologue right now, so that way y'all can really truly understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I think these things are important. Why is the upliftment and masculinity of men, black men in particular, so important? Well, I don't believe you can have communities if you don't have men. Appreciate the hearts. If you don't have men, if you don't have strong men standing on the lines in order to defend what matters to them most, and which is they're most vulnerable, right? Which are your women, your children, and your elderly, right? I don't believe you can have a community, and I believe that men should be willing to do whatever is necessary. Every man in his community, you know what I mean? We're no different. Should be willing and able and capable to do such a thing. One of the things that has consistently been very poignant to me is the erosion of masculinity and the erosion of men willing to stand on that line and willing to call things, for their people, and willing to stand in the face of danger and adversity. More men now, I believe. Well, here's the thing: we've always had men who would always sell out their own people for a few shillings. We've always had that, even going back to slavery. You know what I'm saying? There was always those ones who would point out any escape attempts, any insurrection attempts, any attempts to upset white dominance, and they would be rewarded with, a few pats on the back, a few shillings. And these people never truly understood that they could have had so much more. You know what I mean? Because they were very, very short-sighted. And I believe these gentlemen behind me and this young lady are fall into that category. Now, here's the thing about them, y'all. That's very, very important. They're not the only ones. However, they're the ones that we're going to discuss tonight, right? And really, they're just the face of this thing. But however, you have a lot of blacks who fall up under this umbrella. We're just going to just be honest. The reason these ones I picked personally because they're of the younger generation, right? You have a lot of older blacks like a Thomas Sowell. He's falls in lines with this thinking. Thomas Sowell is a very, very intelligent man. I forget exactly what school he graduated from. Thomas Sowell is very, very intelligent, and he's very, very big on YouTube. More than likely, I'm guessing he has a lot of white subscribers and a lot of people who agree with his line of thinking. Thomas Sowell did a video a while back, and I watched it, and basically said that slavery was all over the world, and America didn't start it, right? Which gave whites a really, really, it gave them opportunity. See, I told you it wasn't just us. See, you know what I mean? And this is, attaboy, right? What Mr. Sowell neglected to mention was that there was nothing like chattel slavery. There was nothing like the subjugation and the humiliation and degradation that happened to blacks on the shores of North America, right? There was nothing, there has been no equivalent anywhere in the world at any time like that. You know what I'm saying? There has, you know what I mean? There has been slavery. However, a lot of these slaves had rights, right? They had an opportunity. They were called a lot of times indentured servants. They would serve for a certain amount of time and then they would then be released. They actually had rights and humanity. Their families were never broken up. Their children were never sold. Their women were never forcibly misused. I'm sure there was some of that. Let me not act like it was perfect to be a slave, because no man should accept it under any circumstances. You know what I mean? No man should ever wish for that to be his fate, nor the fate of his people, his family, or his people. However, what I am saying is there tends to be tiers to a thing, right? And I think that's fair. There, you know what I mean? Even though no situation is ideal, when if a man had to pick, he would pick the lesser of two evils, right? If he's forced to. It's called being put on the horns of a dilemma. You're gored whichever way you turn, right? However, you know what I'm saying? Some places, I'll give y'all an example. When I was in prison, yes, being in prison is bad. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be in prison. However, I committed crimes, and you know what I'm saying? I had to serve the time, that the state allotted in order for me to fulfill a burden, right? Which I still pay for this day, but I digress. My apologies, y'all. So from that, then you have the whole. There is, you know what I mean? That's a darker, a deeper place where you lack the few privileges that you have in 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 prison. You know what I'm saying? The ability to go to the yard, maybe go to the store. They take your TV and so forth and so on, right? Then there's another level. There's ADSEG, administrative segregation. That's where they put the most incorrigible of prisoners. I never called myself an inmate because I never was comfortable with that term. I was a prisoner, right? And so this is where you would put a guy like me, a guy who does not know how to behave, a guy who has behavioral issues, what they deem behavioral issues, and in truth, they were, because that's the conditions that you're in, and I would never conform. So since you won't conform, then they must separate you from the others, right? Because the last thing they want you to do is they want to punish you. They want to use you to show others, you know what I mean, that your behavior will not be tolerated, right? And this is what will happen if you attempt to be like him, right? So this is me. So once again, levels to things. The what has happened to black people on the shores of North America, there is no equivalent in the world that I can find. Now, I'm a man with a GED. Mr. Soul is a man who has been educated the world over. So I don't claim to put my knowledge on this subject against his, because I think that would be extremely unfair of me to try to act as if I know as much as he. However, I will challenge him on that. And that is where we will stand at. That is my major point, and that's where we will build our case against these individuals currently here, who will do anything in order to receive a pat on the back, more subscribers, right? And then you say things that white people can get behind, right? See, they know this. They recognize the algorithm will accept you. Now, what is an algorithm, y'all? That's because we've always heard the term. An algorithm is a set of rules. It's a set of rules based on it governs mathematical principles, right? Now, I don't particularly claim to be a mathematician. I couldn't, right? However, I do understand how certain words, you know what I mean, and certain topics trigger you to be able to be moved into certain sectors, right? And be able to be pushed forward and get on more phones. My content is only conducive to the people who would care about the issues that are facing black men and black people specifically. Nobody cares about the upliftment, self-esteem, and masculinity of black men except for a very, very few people, right? And how do those people connect? And what that matters and what that means to those people is, you know what I mean, can be very, very, it's very, very few and far in between, right? Because when these men rise up, then they allow their women to truly be in the positions that they truly wish to be, which is truly resting in your femininity, right? However, if you continuously keep, if a man never knows who he is, then he can never really truly then he can never really truly get what he wants. How can you get what you want if you don't even know who you are, right? I'll tell y'all something about these people that are behind me. I believe that are some similarities. I believe that these people tend to be people who were rejected, right? They were socially awkward, right, or inept. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that they had a height discrepancy. Maybe they didn't do well with women. They didn't do well in sport. You know what I mean? They've had poor interactions with with their own people at some point in some time, right? Maybe they find themselves, they were late bloomers. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the opportunity to see themselves as handsome or beautiful. You know what I mean? They were never told that their differences or their hair textures or their skin complexions were absolutely a gorgeous thing, right? And so you grow up and then you see the world through a certain lens, right? And then you find a place like YouTube where you can voice your thoughts and opinions, right? And then you recognize that, how do I get paid? Because everybody wants to get paid, right? Everybody wants to find themselves in a better financial situation. I know I myself do. I would love to be able to do this and to be able to provide a life that is substantial for myself and for my daughter. Excuse me, I apologize for that. It was a call. Be able to put money aside, you know what I mean, for their future, using legal means at this point, you know what I mean, and be able to make content and be able to use this platform to, to come to a better end. I think that's what all content creators hope to be the case. However, at what cost? Therein lies the question that only a man can answer for himself, right? How far are you willing to go in order to get the success that you truly so desire? And who at whose cost? Because everything has a cost, right? Everything costs something. The question is what? Because because black people have never truly had anything in this country, and we've been so far behind. When we get anything, we're extremely excited. We're like children in the candy store when you let them go. If I take Gizmo, if y'all remember correctly, when I did my video and I took her to Walmart, she had never been into the store, right, to see so many toys. And she was just going from toy to toy. She was extremely excited because she had never seen so many toys in one place, right? She had never been involved. She had never, so everything was so new to her. And, she was just, you see her face light up, right? She wants everything, you know what I mean? And nothing all at the same time. This is how we are a lot of times in Black America, and we will do anything in order to have something, no matter what it costs. We will sell our souls, and I don't know if that's a literal thing. I do mean when I say so, you won't be able to look yourself in the eyes, and you won't be able to look yourself in. You make it difficult to say it again, to look yourself in the mirror. There's a deadness there. There's an emptiness that is inside you because you have done so many things that deep down you should not have done. However, you try to you try to you try to you try to ease the pain with your financial accomplishments, right? And so at some point in time, you have to answer for that. And only you can answer for that. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror as a man, and you have to be able to live with what you've done, as we all do, right? The question is, can you live with it, right? Can you live without it? And I'll tell y'all something. For myself, personally, there's nothing in this world that is more important to me than being a man, because everything that I wish to have is surrounded by that principle and that principle alone. And if I sell that short, if I sell myself short and I give that up, then what do I truly have? What does it cost a man? What do I then have? Chat, what do I have then? And so that's the question that most men need to find themselves answering. Now I'll take this thing a step further. Out of all of the people on this stage, on the stage, on the thumbnail, and people you see behind me, one of them is very, very popular above all else. It's Candace Owens. Well, why do y'all think that Candace Owens is so popular? Why is it that a black woman is the voice for Black America? Because technically, she is. Now, she doesn't speak for me or my chat. We know that, right? However, we do know that Candace Owens has an extreme amount of power, right? She has over 3 million subscribers, right? She has a white husband, right? And she mixes a lot of truths in her soliloquies and her diatribes, right? She does a really good job in mixing just a little bit of truth in there, just enough, you know what I'm saying, to get black people to a empty thinking black man, black woman to think that, you know what, Candace Owens all right. Candace Owens telling the truth. Let me explain to y'all something about people like this. Because they're highly intelligent, right? So they know how to manipulate. They know how to trick our people into believing things that are untrue, and she gets rewarded for it handsomely, right? And when you get rewarded in the black community, when you have money, we automatically equate money with success, right? This is what we do. I've heard Kendra do it. She says they got money, so that must mean that they're right. I remember when I brought up how a woman ate her steak, how people eat their steak. You know what I'm saying? Well, I know a lot of rich people who, you know what I mean, who have money and they eat steaks well done. Well, that doesn't make it right just because they have money, right? That just means you have money, you still don't know how a steak should be eaten. Anybody who knows that you do not eat a steak medium rare. Now, steak well done, my apologies. Now, there are some people that do not stomach blood well. You know what I'm saying? They don't like the look of it, right? But you can bake a steak. Some people, like I bake steak. You know, you put the baked steak in there, you kind of make it like a roast. You know what I'm saying? You season it up, make it real tender, put the onions in there, the garlic, and you know what I mean? And you know, you season it with the potatoes and stuff like that. That's well done. However, that's been in the oven, that's been sitting in a roaster, and so it comes out very, very tender. When the steak is, and we all know, a steak is generally charbroiled, right? And so, charbroiled, you know what I mean, or you know, you fry it, you know what I mean, and so forth and so on. My whole point is this: there's still a certain way that things have to be done, right? And that doesn't mean that, you know what I mean, we have to all be in agreement with that. That does mean that we have to all, that we should pay attention. And if a man that you believe that you want to be with is telling you exactly how it should be, and you don't want to listen, then that could be a problem for later on. That's what we're dealing with. Now, for the purposes of this conversation, that's not really too much really what I want to discuss. What I do want to discuss is this: why do we as black people always think that money, that success equals money? Why? Because we've never had anything. Now, because if we had money, if we had these things, then we would know that you can have money. That don't make you a man or a woman, right? That doesn't make you a lady, right? There's a very such thing. There's a difference between a woman and a lady. People don't understand this. But the women that are under, and the ladies that are in my chat, they absolutely do. A lady is something very much different than a woman. Every woman if you're over the age of 18 in America, you're considered a woman, right? Every woman is not a lady, right? Just like every male is not a man. Now, see, we can play games, we can play loose with words, and we can always use money in order to lift ourselves up. And yes, we all need money. Let's not act like money doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. At what point, though, do we begin to understand that destroying our own people in order to put ourselves in a better position only hurts us and takes us backwards? Because I want to take something, y'all, and I want to make something very clear. No matter what these people behind me do, they will never be accepted. I want to say this again. No matter what they say or what they do, they will never, ever be accepted. They're still black. It doesn't matter what you say. They'll give you your attaboys. Shout out to Machiavelli Mills. He said the butter biscuits. He said, what did he say? He said that they'll give you them butter biscuits. That makes me laugh. Shout out to Tyreek Nasheed. This is him. They'll give you a bootleg grab bag. Shout out to Tyreek Nasheed. That's his. That's not mine. I like that a lot. They'll give you a bootleg grab bag, and then they'll send you along your way, right? And the truth is, they don't have any respect for you. Nobody respects people that disrespect their own people. Nobody, right? Nobody respects people who disrespect their own people. So you can have subscribers. You can get a check from YouTube once a month. That's astronomical, right? And these people, y'all, behind me, they have extremely big platforms. I looked up the numbers last time I checked. It was, I'll give y'all an example. One time I looked at Anton's Daniel's subscriptions. I think he had like 475,000, 500,000, give or take. Once he started once he really turned up the heat and really started to go in tough on black people and you're not giving out reparations, he got another 300,000 like that. See, it took him a while to get to 475. However, but once he decided that he was going to really make that turn, he gets a whole another 300,000. I think he's at almost 1 million now at this point, right? Probably double, something like that. Damn it, double, right? This is what they understand. This is what guys like him, Stevie Knight, and Officer Tatum, men like him, they understand this. They understand. They can say, Officer Tatum can say things like, I stand with Israel. You're a black man in America. The people that are around you have 2.5% of the wealth in this country. You don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of collectively. And you stand with who? Israel. What has Israel done for you? And you know what's funny, y'all? He said that he was speaking to the guy, the Jewish guy. I don't know his name, not Netanyahu, or you know what I'm saying? I don't know this guy's name. And he said that, well, only one thing happened. You know what I mean? I was spit at by one person, and you know, that's the only thing that happened. This is that's what matters to you. That only one person spit at you, like you was supposed to spit at you or on you or something like that. That is, and that's okay with you. Like it, nobody likes you. I don't think that black people really truly understand how much we really despise the world over. Now, they like you for your entertainment, right? They think that they like our melanin, right? Because they know we're talented. They know that we possess all sorts of skill, right? They know that we are we're very ingenious people, right? We're very creative, right? They know that we have rhythm, right? So this is why, like, y'all, a lot of times we'll accept anything. Like, I noticed that when you have white people doing black dances, their following goes through the roof. Like, just pay attention, y'all. I want y'all to start looking at a lot of those TikTok when you see the black people doing the, you know, the dance. I don't dance, y'all. I'm a real man. I don't do no dancing. But man, y'all might see me come over here teasing every now and then, but I don't dance. You know what I mean? I save that for women and children. And men who do that, I don't dance. You know, or any of those sort of dance challenges. Look and see how many the white people that do black or so-called black dances or some sort of, or inject themselves in a black culture, their numbers skyrocket through the roof. Right? These people are absolutely acknowledged, appreciated, and our people lift these people up. We are quick to lift up people who would never do it for us. Now, here's the difference about them. See that while they'll do your dances and they'll try to usurp your culture and they'll try to do everything they can to co-op. What they won't do is accept you. See, they'll take the things that you created. They just won't take you. So that means when the opportunities come, they're not calling you. When it comes time for things, when it comes time for opportunity, right? When it comes time for legislation to be signed, when it comes time for bills, when it comes time for true systemic opportunity and change, these very same people are quiet, right? Because they don't see you as their equal, right? And they laugh at us, right? They laugh at us. They laugh at them guys and that girl behind us. That's who they're laughing at. They're laughing at you because you think that you belong in a world that you truly don't. And they find you very, very humorous. They find you, and in truth, they're disgusted by you. They don't even respect you, right? However, they will use you because you serve a purpose. And this is how a lot of these blacks behind me do. They serve a purpose. And then they go out on a limb, y'all, and say, well, they're going to call you a coon. They're going to call you a Tom. And what you try to do is use some sort of a shaming language in order to try to take the edge out. No, that's exactly what you are. That's exactly what you are. The only thing that you are not is an Uncle Tom. That's the wrong statement because a lot of people don't truly know who Uncle Tom was. Uncle Tom was not what these guys are. Uncle Tom was actually trying to teach slaves how to read. Uncle Tom was not who we think he is in the black community because a lot of us don't know any better, so we just go around regurgitating stupid information. No, that's not who Uncle Tom was. These guys are Sambos. That's what these people behind me are. They are not Uncle Toms. They are not trying to educate their people and uplift their people. And then they always do it, y'all, under this sort of umbrella of, I just want to see the community do better. You know what I mean? So it's not me I'm not trying to drag black people. I want black people to do better. How? By speaking to white people about black issues. How does that work, right? How does that work? By airing out your grievances to white people in front of their audiences. This is what you think is the right way to go about that. In truth, you have no interest in the black community being better, nor do you want to, because in the end, you see your account go up. You see your opportunities go up. You see you're placed in positions to be able that most will never see because you're going to say and regurgitate the talking points so that way they don't have to say it. They can say, see, I told you. I didn't say it. Their own kind said it. See what I'm saying? Like when they say that blacks are violent. Black people are very, very violent. And black people, are so dangerous. And everybody is afraid of blacks. All right, y'all, I'm going to dispel this very, very quickly. Y'all have heard me say previously that we don't own anything in our communities. And in order for a black man to have the true respect, he has to rise up and he has to begin to take back his own communities. That leads his woman to see him in positions of leadership and authority. Thus, respect him, right? She will follow if you lead. Who's in these positions? Y'all have heard me say this. We've all seen it all around our communities. Arabs, Indians, Asians, Chaldeans. This is who's in these positions. Are these people not doing business in our communities? Are these people not running the gas stations, the 7-Elevens, the motels, the subways, the chain restaurants? Are they not? Dunkin' Donuts, corner stores, liquor stores. Who's selling us this stuff every day? It's them. So, if we were so dangerous, how? Somebody help me out here, because like I said, I only got a GED. If we're so dangerous, how is it these people are doing business in our communities every day, selling Asian food, doing our black women's nails and feet? How is it that they're in our communities doing business every single day if they're so afraid? They're extracting our dollars. We know they don't respect us. We know they laugh at us behind our back. They don't even give us the respect to speak in a tongue that we even understand. We've all been in stores. Y'all know I'm not lying. In the beauty supply stores, they don't speak English. Am I lying? Come on. Y'all, and listen, man, I know people may not like me. I know that people may despise me. And that's okay as well. Am I lying? No. That's the only question you have to ask yourself. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like that bastard. I don't like him. I don't like that gizmo. Whatever, right? I don't like his story. I don't like where he comes from. Whatever the circumstance might be. The question is, I'm asking you, am I lying? They don't even respect you enough to speak in a dialect in your country. They don't even, because they don't respect you. So they don't have to speak how you can understand. Because they don't respect you. They just bring in products and sell them to your community while they get rich. They extract your resources. So how afraid are they? You know why they do it? Because they know nothing will happen. So these people are not afraid of black people. So that dispels that rumor, that notion, that lie right there. If black people were so dangerous, which in truth, I'll be honest with y'all, I really wish black men were. I'll be honest with y'all. If they had more of my vicious streak, we would be further along. Right? Now, some people may say, well, awesome. Look what it got you. Yeah, well, it did. But I believe that we're stronger together than we are apart. And if you're going to be involved in certain lifestyles, you should at least do it you should at least be doing something that benefits your own people. Why are you doing things that don't benefit your own people? If you have an opportunity to make a real change, then you should really be trying to do that. Right? If you really want to run your communities, as I've heard so many black men say about certain streets, this is my hood. This is my area. This is my street. How other people are coming in your area doing business and they don't break bread with you. They didn't respect you. They shouldn't even be over there. Your own people should be selling you those goods. Your own people should be in those positions. See, black men like this don't talk like that, y'all. The black men behind me, the black people behind me, they don't talk like that. Because white America don't want to hear that. That's not what white America wants to hear. That is not what white America wants to identify with. I want y'all to look me in my eyes right now. I want y'all to really pay attention, everybody under the sound of my voice. Do y'all see something in my eyes? I want y'all to pay attention. You got to understand, if you could, because I'm giving you an opportunity to see into the windows of my soul. If y'all only knew, well, I almost slipped up. Just remember, a smile ain't nothing but a frown turned upside down. We've played too many games too far in our community, and we've been exploited too much. And if we do not begin to address these things, if we don't address these things, we're going to stay at the proverbial bottom. Black men like this, black people like this, are our biggest problem. It is not even white supremacy. We have to get rid of black people like this. And when I'm saying get rid of them, I don't mean violently, right? I have to say that. I do mean by not supporting them. I mean by freezing them out of opportunity. I mean to the point where making it so uncomfortable for them to do business that they have to 100% be outside of our community. And then we build with the people that are left. As I've always said, we can only save about 30% of our people because most of them are cancer that has to be cut out. Anybody who has had cancer, which I haven't, thanked the Creator, I do understand that cancer has to be cut out. When they identify it, when they identify a tumor, you cut it out. That's the only way to get better or to have an opportunity to get healthy. You have to cut a cancer out. These people are cancerous. And their platforms are large. And they're going to continue to push the things that benefit people that don't look like us. And that continuously push black men, so black people, to the bottom. There you go. So I'm going to go back through the chat, everybody, and address my people. Shout out to Mai. Hey, Mai, I appreciate you for being here. Introvert, thank you. Ediva, hey, sister, I appreciate you. Please tell us who they are. Thanks. Yes, Ediva. One of them is Officer Tatum, the guy with the hat. You have Angry Man. These are podcasters. These are all, I know you are a married woman, who's raised children and who's lived and been, know what it is to be a wife and to be a kept woman. So you wouldn't be in these YouTube streets. These people would, wouldn't be, these people would be foreign to you. You were too busy doing things you needed to do. So, but yes, and one of them is Stevie Knight, Candace Owens, and I believe I named them all. Oh yeah, and Anton Daniels. These are content creators here on YouTube that specifically speak on black issues, but they always speak from a white agenda. They do a good job at it too, and they're very successful from it. Shout out to DOZ. DOZ, hey, sister. Thank you. Hey, Cheapo, thank you for being here. Cheapo, what's going on? What you got going on? It's 6 o'clock there on the West Coast. Shout out to the West. DOZ. Fine. I touched on something to this. Let me start out. Fine. I touched on something similar to this supposed reparations. And what people don't understand, nobody in the government weren't born in the 1900s, and they still, and they're still slaves. And they still slaves, mentally enslaved. Yes, our people are absolutely mentally enslaved, 100%. And they're not going to give us anything. One has to take it. And this is how you get respect. Shout out to Mai. Like, subscribe. Thank you so much, Mai, as usual, for supporting me and the channel. The Giz appreciates it. Shout out to DOZ. 1900s will go back to the great-great-grandmothers and things of that nature. We're talking about when they will supposedly. Well, here's the thing. They've done this on a few different occasions. What they like to do is they'll raise a bill, right? And then it'll be shot down, right? For optics, buried, or get buried in the house. It'll never make it to the president to be signed in legislation. There you have it. A lot of times we don't really, a lot of times these things never truly materialize in a real way. Shout out to Ross. Appreciate you, Ross, for being here, man. Thank you, man. How was your Monday? Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. Miss Jessica Herbert, hello. Thank you so much. My Candace Owens is married to a white man, and she's involved with high-profile politicians. This is facts, Mai. She knows exactly where her bread is buttered. You know what I'm saying? She's a white man's bed wench. I tell her that to her face. And she knows exactly what, But here's the thing. The thing with these people is once you get in bed with them, they're going to let it be known. You better not step out of line. That's very important. Y'all never think that she can step out of line. Never think that any of these blacks have the opportunity to step out of line. Whenever they do, they're going to get punished. Shout out to, and this was happening to Stevie Knight, the guy right behind me. He got into a conversation with a guy, with the wrong guy. These guys out of Canada, Abba and Preach, really good content creators. And Abin Preach cooked him. And so he didn't make them look good. And Stevie Knight's in hot water now. So now he's trying to retract and trying to figure out a way to you know what I mean, to dig himself out of the grave that he currently finds himself in. Yeah, so they know. Shout out to, I must live under a rock because I don't know who that. I didn't know that was Candace Owens. No, sister, it's not so much that, it's just that you are concerned with other things that matter on the internet. She will soon fade into the background, I'm sure. These people they always have a life. They always have a shelf life. These people like them, they come, they go, and this, that, and the, but in the end, it's the mindset that never truly has gone any place. The people and the faces change. They'll do something eventually to fall out of favor, and then they'll be replaced. Such is life. DOZ. Money doesn't matter to me. It's worthless. Shout out to DOZ. Let me see. And Daniels is worth 4 to 6 million. Okay, well, he may be. I didn't know it was that high. I'm not surprised though. Shout out to Ross. Black people the most hated, the most imitated. At the same time, I couldn't agree more. Ross, it's like they love to hate you. You know what I'm saying? They cannot get enough of you. They need you because a lot of this. I'm gonna say this, man. White people a lot of times are like a succubus. They're like a lot of them. Y'all are like what they'll do is they attach themselves to us. You know what I'm saying? They attach themselves to us and they use us. They use us, you know what I mean, to feed them. And we never have truly understood that we have to, it's like a leech. You gotta cut that thing off you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get that thing off you. And we gotta do something about that. Shout out to El Cheapo. El Cheapo said do the like. Hit the like. Listen to Cheapo. Shout out to Edible Facts. Yes, indeed. They claim they're afraid when shout out to Mai. They claim they're afraid when they're not getting our black finances. That's when things start to get, get very murky. That's 100% when blacks start to withhold money. I remember y'all when blacks said we were going to boycott Target. I remember when we came up with this whole idea that we were going to do that because they weren't pushing black products in Target. and the position that it took. However, what we do is we're so quick to spend money, it doesn't really particularly matter because, you know what I'm saying, our positions are never felt because in order to really make a position known is to really withhold all of your money and say, you know what, we're only spending money with people that look like us, but that means our people have to provide a quality product. So that means our people have to be put in these positions in order to have a quality product. Well, how do our people get this quality product? You know what I'm saying? In order to get it, that means you have to have access to these particular vendors, right? And to be able to get it, you know what I mean, on a large scale, then you have to have business license, then you have to have zoning license, and you know what I'm saying? Somebody has to okay it. How is it these people, y'all, are able to do business in our communities so often? Right? See, these people behind me would be okay with that because they will never address that. And I've often said that you can always tell who runs your community just by looking outside. Who's in charge? You just look outside. Just look outside. That tells you who is doing the business in your community. Who's responsible? Who's selling you pizza? Who's selling you chicken with these JJs? And you know what I'm saying? Y'all, you have Arabs that have took over. Who can make better biscuit batter than black people? But yet you have these JJ's chicken. They selling lemon pepper wings. Shit is like crack. We eat it up like these people don't even look like you. They literally co-opt everything that you made and they're reselling it back to you. Y'all know, what is it, a 10-piece? Y'all, you know, black people, we like a 10-piece. You know what I'm saying? Get you a 10-piece, some fries, you know what I'm saying, some extra lemon pepper. What is that? Y'all about 13, 14 bucks for them little mini wings, right? What did that chicken maybe cost them? 60 cents? The fountain drinks, you know what I mean? Maybe they got $1.25 in it because they're going to get the chicken by super bulk, right? You got a markup of what? Over
You know, you got a markup of over 1,300%. Not bad business, right? These are just some rough numbers off the top of my head. So y'all don't hold me to that. Shout out to the class in session. You know it, sister. Shout out to mine. Why would they set up shop in communities where they're deathly afraid? This is what we have to address, mine. Because from what I heard, that we were so violent. Even in Chicago, where they have extreme violence currently, and where I'm from, Detroit, these people are still doing business. You don't see their businesses shutting down. You haven't heard about Asians coming. We can't do business here over here. You know what I'm saying? They still selling that goddamn sweet and sour chicken. They selling that motherfucking shrimp. Yeah. I mean, am I lying? Yeah, they got that motherfucker. They got that. Yeah, they got that. Yeah, they got that motherfucking. They still selling that motherfucking soy sauce. They got that shit for you. So it's not. So in truth, I would argue that it would be the opposite. They still doing business just the same. They don't have any fear. They know nobody's gonna touch them. They're not afraid at all. And they use one situation with the mentally ill guy who deleted the lady on the subway. And that was a very unfortunate incident, y'all. And that was very unfortunate. This man was absolutely mentally ill, by all reports, and he's gonna pay for that, right? He took that woman's life in cold blood, but it was clear he had mental issues. So they've used that as the poster child or they use that as the for listen. See, I told you they were dangerous. See what they did to her? As if that represents all black people. This man was mentally ill, you know, and everybody unequivocally across the board has basically said that. But then they say, well, you know, just because you're mentally ill doesn't give you an excuse, doesn't excuse the law. Nobody's saying what he did was right. I'm not saying I agree with that. That young girl lost her life to him, and he's gonna have to answer for that, right? But I'll tell y'all this: I've been in places. I've been in these places, y'all. I was at a place called Huron Valley in Michigan. This is where they sent the most mentally ill prisoners in the state. I've seen men eat their own shit. I've seen it. I used to have to clean their cells. Y'all, I've literally seen men shit in their own hands and eat it. I don't mean to gross my chat out. However, I have to be honest about some of the things that I've witnessed. And they would let these men sit in those cells. These men should have never been in prison to begin with. However, when Governor Engler decided in Michigan that he was going to shut down a lot of mental institutions, and they decided they were going to start building prisoner complexes. They would start going to make prison big business. This is around the early 90s. They said, you know what? We're going to make this thing. We're going to put all of these mentally ill people in prison. And this is exactly what they did. There were men who should have never been in there. They didn't have, their brains were soup. Now, I'll tell y'all the truth. In my case, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was very cold and very calculating. Always have been. So I won't sit up here and say that was my reality. You know what I mean? That I didn't deserve. I don't like that word deserve, but I didn't earn my way to be there. I did, right? But there were men who did not, and they were ill, and there were several of them. And they literally kept them locked in those doors all day. Y'all, I remember I used to sell these guys cigarettes. I would come through, and I would get their whole commissary bags. I would give them a few cigarettes, they give me their whole commissary bags. So much so, I actually used to, so much so, even my cold black heart, I used to think, I said, damn, you doing a little too much. Give them more. This is what I was doing, right? Because they didn't have the ability to reason. And so I was taking advantage of them. And I'm like, man, no, at least you can give them something more, right? So this stuff happens. It happens all the time. And I've seen people that should not have been in there. I know for a fact that they were not capable of understanding what was going on at that moment, that they committed whatever crime that got them in there. Didn't matter. There was no place else to put them. So they put them in prison. They gave them drugs called Seroquel and Haldol. These are antidepressants, not antidepressants, antipsychotic medication, right? This is what they do. Zoloft, they give you this stuff. They give it to you 3 times a day in order just to keep you're alive, but you're not alive. It's like you're dead, right? But you can eat. You can sleep. You can get through the day. It is only in existence. I've witnessed this. I've lived it. So nobody can jump on here and tell me nothing about it. So I know what they will do when you're mentally ill. And I know what that looks like. And a lot of those people need help. Locking them behind a door for 24/7 and just allowing them only enough time to come out to go to a yard that's about, that's as big as a cage. If I'm not mistaken, it was 8 by 12 feet. It's like a hamster. And then at some point in time, his sentence is going to be finished. At some point, and they're going to let him out. What do you think he's coming back to? And in what fashion do you think he's coming back? Shout out to DOZ. It's just too much talking and not enough proaction. Could not agree more, DOZ. Could not agree more. However, I don't believe that it will stay that way. I do not believe it will stay that way. Shout out to mine. Our problem is sometimes each other. We need to treat one another better. I do agree with that. However, there's some people that I just loathe and detest. So I have no ability to get along with them. Once you identify yourself as my enemy, I will identify yourself with my enemies. Then therein lies my respect for you and my ability to see your point of view, or you know what I mean, and maybe your ability to see mine. I'm talking about those individuals. So if you know what I mean, because I'm on a certain side at this point, and they've identified themselves on what side they're on. So I don't believe there's an opportunity for me to salvage that relationship, because they've already shown me that what matters to them. What matters to them is saying whatever that it will take in order to get pats on the back from white people. That is not me. Shout out to Edible. Unbelievable. Yes, indeed, it was definitely like that. I would tell you some stories, Edible, that would bring you to tears. I won't do that though. You a lady. I just share with y'all certain things in order to illustrate my point. Shout out to DOZ. I does my homework and looked it up. Remember, his show is the Millionaire Show. Well, here's the thing, DOZ. I does. You an educated woman. I does. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's what he says, and that's the thing. It's always his narrative, and he's going to say things like this because that's what he's going to say. You know what I mean? That's what his brand is built on. He's a black YouTuber who's a millionaire, so he has to stand on that. Shout out to Makai. Let me see. Shut up, something said back up. DOZ. Toughest was the Black Panther, and the colonizers dismantled them with drugs and whatever else. Yes,
They did a good job in co-opting the brothers. Yeah, I think they had a real opportunity out there in California, and then moved to Chicago, trying to set up chapters, and you know, they murdered Fred Hampton, and in Chicago, shot him down in cold blood. So many other black men who tried to stand, but that's what you should do. And if you and let it fall like it may, because that's what we do. Shout out to Makai. Zombies. Yes, indeed, they were. Shout out to Mai. You're sedated. Yes, that's what you call it, Mai. Yep, that's what you call it. Basically, I think that's the perfect word for it. That is, thank you very much for that clinical term. You're sedated. And that's how they keep you. They keep you just like that. Shout out to Makai. Antipsychotics and antidepressants keep you zoned out. Yes, and they keep you in. I remember they used to try to give them to me, y'all, and I would spit them out. They used to try to make me swallow them and this, that, and the third. Yeah, it was you go through those days and stuff like that. They think that they can just give you stuff, you know what I mean, that you will just accept in order to keep you in a position where you are subservient and weak. And this is very important to them. And and this is what I'll always stand up against. I'll always be the man that the Creator called me to be. I'm very grateful that the Gizmo was asleep. I really timed it, y'all, really well. I got really, really fortunate because I fed her, and then I gave her a bath, and I clipped her nails, and her nails were soft. And so this is the first time I ever clipped her nails while she was awake, right? And I was really, really nervous. I'm like, okay, you can try this. Let's try. Let's see how she do. So she was really relaxed, and she let me, she basically let me do it for the most part. And she fussed for a minute, but then I gave her a bottle with some a little bit of cough syrup and her meds, and I warmed it up. And I just gave her about maybe half of it so I could make sure she get that cough syrup in her. And so she fussed, and then I turned that light off. I said, "You want Daddy to sing your song?" And I sung her song. And then next thing I know, y'all, she was toast. So hopefully she'll stay like that. Oh, we got somebody special in the building. That girl Figgy. Well, look at you stepping up your technological game. You gotta walk. Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Figgy. Yes, I do. Shout out that girl, Figgy. Scroll down. You're super behind on your comments. Where's my 10? Did I get it? Figgy? I thought I addressed everything. You saw that's probably was like. Where's my 20? She's actually asleep. I believe. I just, I'm saying. Shout out to that girl Figgy. That girl Figgy. She helped me originally. I haven't heard from her quite some time. I'm so glad to hear from you. How you doing, sister? Good to see you. Good to know. I left a comment on one of your videos a couple months ago. And yeah, I figured this little back thing out. I've been trying to learn a little bit. Shout out to that girl, Figgy. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're okay. How's life treating you? How's Canada? And you see the title of the video. And I don't know how long you've been in here, but yeah, I had to go in on these cowards, and you know what I mean, and really put my stamp on it. That girl Figgy was actually the one who told me, y'all, that Kendra was actually speaking about me, and she called me that day, and she told me that Kendra was doing a whole live stream from my video the night before while I was at work. You know what I'm saying? And so then I call up, you know what I'm saying, that Kendra has been very, very successful off me. So shout out to Kendra. Yes, indeed. I didn't see that comment. It was a while ago. Figgy, I don't remember which one it was, though. I don't remember which video. It was something that you were doing. I think as you were skating. I'm guessing skating. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember. If I'm guessing, it was you skating. Shout out to don't take those antipsychotic medications. It causes an addiction that never goes away. Yes, indeed. Shout out to Mai for absolutely delivering that message. She is absolutely correct. One of the things about me that's been very fortunate for me, even when I did, there were certain times that I couldn't get away from them. You know what I mean? I had to take them. My mind was always just so strong. I never truly needed that stuff. That's probably why I never drunk or smoked consistently. That was never
I've been addicted to something else. I want something else. So what I'm addicted to, money, money, not even money could really could 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 quench my thirst. I want this one thing called power and real freedom, right? And that means freedom is never having to say you sorry, right? And so that I'm after that. You know what I'm saying? I'm after real opportunity for people that look like me. You know what I'm saying? I'm after that. Yes, indeed. I didn't see that comment. Yeah, I don't. I think it was that video though. Shout out to that girl figure. What video? I think that was that video. I think it was that video. Shout out to Maya. Maya said welcome figure. Maya is very, 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 very helpful. That girl figure. She has been an absolute supporter of my show. I have a very, very classy black woman that comes over here. Very, 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 very. Call myself a good. I have a very much ladies, which you wouldn't probably maybe guess that to be the case. However, these women over here are very, very supportive, and they have been like a surrogate family for myself and Gizmo. They have these are some of the best women that I really adore and appreciate. My chat, some of them are not even in here, but I have a, I have some very, 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 very quality people, and I thank the creator for them. And I don't have any hood rats, you know what I'm saying, or them bitches that I be talking about. They never take that. They never take, cause they know I'm not talking about them. So when I'm going on these rants, I still talk the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of them days that I just decided to be extremely cerebral and just cut really close, just cut really knife to these people behind me. But the women that the ladies that are on my chat are absolutely of the highest order, and I will only go with the black women in my chat push me to. This is facts. You know what I'm saying? A man can rise no higher than his woman. Shout out to that girl figure. I also named your channel. Also named your channel, but you since renamed it. No more. No, yes, that's right, Figgy. That's great. I said, you know what? I'm not living like that no more. So I said, you know what? Why do you consistently call yourself a goon? That was something that I had to think about myself. And I said, you know what? You are literally a daddy. You know what I'm saying? You literally sit up with a little girl every day. You know what I mean? You got poop. You know what I mean? on your on your sheets. You you smell you smell like uh, what's that damn stuff I use on her bottom? You smell like butt paste. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You are not a goon. You are a father. You are a man, and a strong one at that. So, why continuously call yourself that? So that was where that came from. Shout out to that graphic. Thanks, my yeah, that graphic Vaseline. Yes, yes, yes. But I wouldn't. In this particular case, it was Vaseline. But yeah, she got that. She's cocoa butter Vaseline. But yeah, taking care of her. She's been great. That girl figured I'm having an opportunity to let people see her grow every day, and they really taken her in, and people are very interested in her and me. As I always let Gizmo, I have to let her know you are not the star of this show. I'm Michael. You Tito. Don't never forget that. I tell her that all the time. I said, listen, don't get it messed up. I'm David Ruffin and you Otis. That's what I tell her. And yep, that's Daddy's pumpkin. She's going to daycare in the morning, and yeah, things are moving. They're moving at their own pace, and so I'm not bombarded. I've got a lot of because I've been putting up videos left and right. Don't know what you've been able to see versus not. However, I put up a lot of shorts. Well, I don't really put them up there. Actually, the internet puts them up. I don't even know how it does it. Like, I'll shoot a video and then all of a sudden it'll turn into a short. So, and I don't even know how it does it. So I don't even know how to make a short. So no, but I do let them post, and then I just mark it for public use, and then however it comes out is what it is how it comes out. But yeah, I've done a few interviews. I rejected some because I didn't think that they were a proper platform. And then when I try to get on guys like Chad O. Jackson and stuff like that, they always reject. I say, you niggas stay ducking the smoke. You niggas love to talk about black people and try to use your white Jesus in order to push that shit on black people. But in the end, your Jesus ain't coming. Your Jesus ain't coming to save you. Only you can save you. And so you thinking that you thinking that somehow you can beg and borrow and you know what I mean, somehow shame white people into giving you opportunity. You a sucker ass nigga. You know what I mean? You always will be. And I don't care how many flowery words you throw around and how many how well versed you are in the dictionary. None of it changes the fact that you at the bottom of the socioeconomic totem pole. And that's where you'll stay until you're man enough to rise up and take something for yourself. And so there's that. So, does anybody have any questions or concerns about anything that I said, or the people under the sound of my voice? Who is in agreement with me? Who is in agreement with me or disagreement with me? And if so, why? Is there anything I said about these individuals? Because now I'll open this up for Q&A. And that's what we'll do. Open this thing up for Q&A. Give you all an opportunity to be heard. I've always told my mods, Figgy, to let people cook. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with, with certain things. I like to let people know that they have the opportunity to say what they want to say. Doesn't particularly matter to me. Always give them an opportunity to say what they want to say. And if the mods think that it's important enough, if the mods think they were just super duper trolling, then they'll just, they'll kindly, remove it. But if they think it's something I should read, I like to, even if I don't agree, I don't particularly, doesn't particularly mind. Besides, I like to be the bad guy. Anyway, shout out to that girl Figgy. Chad makes incredible and very credible documentaries, though. I'm sure he does. He just finished the MLK documentary. Yeah, I saw where he was. I did see something that Chad was making. And he was trying to once again trying to disrespect Dr. King. I did see that. It's funny to me how black men always have this revisionist history. Men who've never done anything, they always try to. Officer Tatum says he gets on stage and says, "Did you know that Rosa Parks had a car?" Shit like that. Like she didn't have to ride the bus. Basically saying she didn't have to ride the bus. She had a car. Hey, fuck boy. Even if she did, I don't know if she did or didn't. But what the fuck does that have to do with the fact that she sat where she sat and she did not move? Like, you know what I mean? Like, man, get your dumb ass out of my face. You another coward ass nigga who, see, now I'm turning into me more. If you see that girl Figgy. And, what you're trying to do is focus on the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So, people have talked about Dr. King and, what his intentions were, what he thought, or nobody said Dr. King was perfect. I don't think anybody thinks that he was perfect. I mean, all men are flawed. You know what I mean? But I do think his intentions initially were, and then I believe that he thought that he could get something for his people. He was negotiating on behalf of his people. You know what I mean? And he wanted to make real systemic change. However, I don't think he understood all the factors that were involved. And then by the time he did, he figured it out. It was too late. And he had already made the deal. And then so now you have the Hart-Celler Act of 1965, which allows immigrants to come over here and basically bum rush our communities. And this is why we see, so many businesses, people that don't look like us involved in our communities, and they're eating off us to this day. I'm saying, and that was directly affected by the Civil Rights Act, right? All of this stuff is tied in, right? So yeah, and then he did know it because he said it before he died. He said, he knew that reparations were owed. He said that he was going to Washington to get a check. He said that himself. However, he never, that never quite materialized. So what I don't like about black men like Chad, and what I don't like about black men who try to pick apart his contribution. If you think Dr. King did something wrong, and you think that He erred. Malcolm erred. These men are human. Garvey, you know what I'm saying? Whoever you may name, these men still gave their lives up in an attempt to make things better. Why didn't you then take what they had done, take the blueprint that they laid, and then improve upon it? This is what I hate. That's where you lose me, because it's easy to judge a man from a distance, right? It's easy to look back at his legacy and what he did or didn't do. However, why not say, you know what? I can make a change. Here's what I can do. Okay, he brought us this far. Okay, well, let me take what he did, recognize where he, you know what I mean, where he erred at, if you believe that to be the case, and then use that to take your people further instead of trying to make it sick. Because according to these people, black people should have no heroes, right? They try to pick apart Muhammad Ali, anybody who's black. You go out of your way to pick apart these people, yet I hear these people always praise Andrew Jackson and George Washington. You know what I mean? And Thomas Jefferson and this, that, and the third. This is what a lot of these blacks do. And I personally have I have no respect and a lot of disdain for them. Shout out to my voice your opinion, but be respectful on this channel. Thank you. Shout out to Mai. She don't play. Mai will get you together. That girl figure. There really is no difference between MLK and Obama. Well, I would argue differently in this regard, Figgy. I would say this. I would say that MLK came from this community. MLK was a black man who actually grew up here. He actually, and he, you know what I mean? He was in the struggle and he actually had boots to the ground. Now, I don't agree with everything that he did, right? I don't agree with the nonviolent stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because that's just not me, right? But I believe that he did what he needed to do under the current times because he was operating under a set of rules of engagement that he truly didn't understand. See, here's the thing. He thought that he was negotiating with people that could be negotiated with. See, this is where I think that he really erred in his judgment. He saw the good in people, and I don't believe there's any good in these people, right? This is where, see, in his mind, he's thinking, because I try to think like him. He's seeing this world through the Bible and through the lens of all men are created equal. Well, if that's the case, then the people I'm negotiating with, they have to at some point in time see my humanity. When in truth, they never have, right? They never have. And so they only gave you something in order to create a climate that would make it seem like they're doing something so benevolent. I'll give you an example about a conqueror. And this is very important. This goes back to this. I was just reading this not too long ago, Figgy. This is Art of War. One of the things that you really want to do when you come into a community, it's whether you're in the streets or, you know what I mean, or whether you're in the corporate world or whatever the case might be. What you do is, when you take something, you want to 100% destroy your enemy, right? Men must either be pampered or annihilated. So one of the things, if you're trying to destroy them, you're trying to destroy them completely, right? Because if one ember is left, then they have an opportunity to come back, right? So you want to crush them totally. Once you crush them totally, then you give them back a little bit of something as a goodwill, as a sign of goodwill. You see what I mean? So they do. So that's what happened a lot of times with our people. You destroy them as completely as you can, and then you give them back just a little bit, right? In order to make it seem as if you have done something so that you're a benevolent master, or you know what I mean. To keep the people happy, so to speak. And so they've done a good job in that and playing that balance game. Problem is, you can't play with everybody like that. You definitely can't play with me. And Obama, you know what I'm saying? I saw him coming when I was 28. I'll be honest with you, Figgy. I saw him coming when I was 28. I knew he wasn't shit. I knew he was a slick talking ass nigga, you know what I mean, who had been propped up. He was in the right place at the right time, and they needed a black face. You know, he was a black. Listen, if you know about Obama, he was a very, very slick talker. Oh man, he can talk his ass off. He can give a speech like a motherfucker, right? Oh, he's good at that. When it comes time to substance, see, and that's what you have to judge a man on. You know what I'm saying? You have to judge a man. You know, that's what you judge a man at. What is he doing on it every day? Like, you know, that's where you really, really find out about a man. What does his what show me something, right? Show me your works. You know what I mean? That's where, you know what I mean, things get a little, and in the end, he did nothing to benefit his people. He never did. He never did nothing to benefit black people. Now, and black people made 1,000 excuses for him. They said, well, it's the house. You know what I mean? And, you know, and this, that, and the third. And you know what I mean? It was always an excuse. However, we've seen everybody else be able to get opportunity that has continuously eluded blacks. The LGBT community, I did a video about this years ago, has figured out a way to get opportunity. They always figured out a way to get opportunity, how to leverage their power in order to get real systemic change. So much so that they are competing in sports all over the country in some cases. You know, you have boys who have transitioned into women who are competing in women's sports. This is what they wanted, right? They're breaking times, they're breaking records, they're playing volleyball, they're running track, they're doing pole vaulting or whatever else you may think of, right? This is the feminist world this is the world that everybody wanted. They wanted equality. But you just really want selective equality a lot of times. You know, a lot of times, Figgy, that's what I believe. I believe people want selective equality. They want equality when it benefits them. And therein lies a lot of the problem. Shout out to that girl, Figgy. I mean, both men were bought and paid. Well, do I think that there are certain deals always being made? Yeah, I believe when you get in certain rooms, I believe that there's always there's that to a certain degree. However, I do believe this. I believe King's intentions were very pure. I believe King's intentions were very pure. And that does not say he was perfect. But I don't believe that white people propped him up and they said, hey, you know what I mean? Go, you know what I mean? Listen, we're going to use your black face to excuse me, to manipulate black. I don't believe that. There's no evidence of that. Once again, this is revisionist history. And I'll tell you something else too, Figster. What they've done a good job is trying to besmirch these men. See, the further we get away from history, I'll give you an example. The further we get away from history, the less blacks were never brought over the slave ships. Blacks were never brought over from Africa. The transatlantic slave trade never happened. You see how you see the further you get away from history, now they're saying this is literally a thing. Chat, am I lying? Figgy, I don't know if you've heard this. They're literally saying that blacks were never brought from the shores from the eastern shores of Africa via slave ships to America. They're saying that we were already here. They're saying the transatlantic slave trade never existed. And then now they're coming up with ways to say that that's the case, right? The transatlantic slave trade never existed. There was never, that's just Democratic talking points. And that's just blacks trying to be victim. Whites never did this. They're saying now that, hey, slavery wasn't as bad. Right? This is, you know what I mean? It was much better than what people would like to admit. Blacks had all opportunities and this, that, and the third. And then they show these puff pictures, right? They show these certain puff pictures with blacks being treated like pets, right? In order to make it seem, oh, wait a minute, see, I told y'all. So now you have black people think, well, maybe slavery wasn't quite as bad as I thought. I mean, maybe that was a lie. Maybe white people are, but this is what they've done. Because in truth, I'll be honest with you, Figgy, chat, these people feel bad. Well, let me back that up. It's not that they feel bad, because they don't. What it is they don't want to be reminded of the truth, right? Because because then they have to be accountable for it. Now, they benefit from the very society. They benefit from the very actions of it. They benefit every day This is why the wealth gap is so large. This is why, you know what I mean? All of the socioeconomic barriers and factors are 100% in place, and they benefit from it every single day, right? They benefit from a labor management relationship. They've always benefited from it. Yet they don't want to truly ever acknowledge it, because to acknowledge it would mean that your hard work and your work ethic were not as meaningful as you once as you believe that they are. You know what I'm saying? Because you have white men, oh, I worked my way up, and you know what I mean, and nobody gave me nothing. Yeah, that's easy shit. Yeah, maybe you did grow up poor, but there was still opportunity that you were allotted because of the color of your skin that other people were not given. You never want to truly acknowledge that the fact that you were even able to get in that room, to get that certain loan, to get the opportunity to start that business, right? To be able to then meet said individual and this, that, and the third. Y'all, I've often asked the question: who's more valuable in America? LeBron James is worth, and when they say net worth, y'all, I guess they consider it in assets and you know I don't know what all of the factors that go into y'all having a net worth. I won't sit here and act like I know this. What is it? Is it property? Is it, you know what I mean? What are all of the factors that you would say that go into say what your net worth is? Whatever that is, LeBron James, they say he's worth about $1 billion at 41 years old. Let me ask y'all a question. Who's more valuable in this country? Who has more access to opportunity and to have and to really open up real doors? Him worth $1 billion, or a white man that's got about 50 million? Who would y'all think has more opportunity? I would argue it's the heterosexual white man. Yes, LeBron has $1 billion, but in the end, oh, he's worth $1 billion. I don't know if he has $1 billion cash, but I'm saying they say that according to his, I'm not pocket watching him, y'all, but that's what's reported, right? But in the end, he's still a black man who played basketball. Nobody respects his bad business acumen like that. Even if he was the next Rupert Murdoch, doesn't matter. He's still black, right? So there's still a ceiling there in terms of what rooms you'll be allowed in and what kind of access you'll truly have. Access, y'all, is about power. That's what I want my people to really truly start to understand. It's about power and the ability to get into these rooms and the ability to then be able to influence legislators, lawmakers, being able to put people in position, being able to say who and what is going to happen, where it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, and more importantly, who is going to happen to. This is the issue. Is LeBron in those rooms? I would argue no, right? So a white man who has 5% of his wealth, right? Is that 5%? Yes, because 10% of $1 billion would be 100 million. So yes, so a white man who has 5% of his wealth is actually better off, right? Because he has opportunities that LeBron just will not get, because there's always going to be doors that are going to be closed. There's always going to be. Why do y'all think blacks are not in ownership positions? Why don't you see blacks in ownership positions? Blacks are the best athletes by far. Who owns these teams? Definitely isn't black people, right? Y'all, recently I did a video, y'all, on because a lot of people got confused. Figgy, they were really Figgy. I hope you're still in here. If you're in here, Figgy, let me know. Shout out to Liz. You are an exceptional mod. This is facts. Yes, she is. Shout out to El Cheapo. You're an exceptional woman. Appreciate you for being in here. You a decent mod. Chat. I mentioned about Adam Sandler, and I mentioned how successful He is. And I mentioned that in his production company, Happy Madison, I think it's Happy Madison. I hope I'm saying it correctly. There's only Jewish people that are in those rooms. So yes, he hires black talent, and once again, blacks always miss the point. Well, not all of them, but, you know what I mean. But a lot of blacks miss the point. Black people miss the point. Yes, he'll hire you. Yes, He'll let Terry Crews in a movie. Yes, he'll let a Tracy Moore. Yes, he'll hire black talent because he needs black talent to do movies, right? This is facts. However, when it comes time for the decision-making process, when it comes time for the residual, when it comes time to really truly break down who's important versus who's not, it's the people that look like him. It's the people that are from his lineage. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want anybody to think that I begrudge Adam Sandler for that. That's what he should do. That's what he is doing. I begrudge a, a black man who will look me in the face and tell me that Adam Sandler has so much love for black people. When in truth, he'll use black talent. And there's nothing, listen, and if you'll allow yourself to be used, who am I to, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, right? Get used, Lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, get dusted off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested in that. Get your ass dusted off. So that is that. Now let's see if my chat. Let me see. Ladies, your section. Okay. El Cheapo, I appreciate you. IRL. That's indeed. El Cheapo, I appreciate you. Now, are there any cares and concerns before I sign off? And hopefully everybody under the sound of my voice learned something today. How did I do? Was I listen? Did I keep it together? And do you know, y'all? They didn't. What's funny is it took me quite a while to get somebody in here. I think it was like 25 minutes before I actually had somebody. But once again, this is what perseverance looks like. I was not going to give up on my life. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. You can't see my comments. Yes, I can see your comments. Yes. Let me see. I answered your comment, Figgy, about they're really, well, you didn't ask, you didn't have a question. You answered, you made a statement about there's no difference between MLK and Obama. And I answered that. And what is your take on Obama? I like Ali. Oh, okay. Now I didn't see that. I see that. What is my take on Obama? I think I gave you that, but if I didn't, I'll give it to you again. You have to give black people something. They realized this a long time ago, Figgy. They're very, very shrewd. They knew that you have to give them something, but you cannot give them everything, right? So they give us just enough. And I remember when I was in prison when he was elected. I remember I watching it on CNN. I was in the hole, as usual. But I actually had a TV this time. And I remember seeing black people going crazy. They were going crazy. Black people out there crying. They could not believe that a black man had been elected. And I said, this is the worst thing that could happen to our people, right? Because I realized at that moment, at 28 years old, I'm like, why can't anybody see this? Why can't anybody see that this is just another move to pacify us? This is because if you notice, we still have never truly gotten anything. The last real legislation, the last thing that has been passed that truly benefited black people was the USC 1983. That was 42 years ago. The USC 1983, y'all, is a federal lawsuit that you can bring, right, for violation of human rights. That was passed for black people. There has been no legitimate legislation since. Nothing. There has been absolutely no legitimate legislation that has been brought. I'm talking about that has passed, that has been signed into law. That has been very, very important. And the funny part about it is we don't even know how to use it. So, y'all, that's just basically a lawsuit that says you can fill out, let's say for a minute, y'all, you believe your human rights were violated, right? You can go to the federal courts that are in your district in America. You can ask you for a USC 1983. It's a packet. I used to have like 5 of them, right? And then you fill it out, you know what I'm saying? You basically state your complaint, who you're suing and why you're suing them. And what happened? You fill out this complaint, you file a $400 fee, or you have the ability to say, you know what, you have to tell them you're indigent and why, right? You cannot, because you cannot be denied access to the courts. You know what I mean? Even if you don't have the money. And then they have to answer. And then the judge, and then there's a series of filings. And if you're a judge, if your case holds merit, then you have the opportunity to drag these people in court and get redress. Now, white people have been using this. Other cultures have been using this, but it was specifically used, specifically signed into legislation for black people. The problem is a lot of times nobody tells us this stuff. Now, here's a guy with a GED telling you, right? I know it because I've used them, right? And I won one, and I lost. They cheated me, y'all. I really should be undefeated. I swear to God, y'all, and I'm still mad. And y'all, like I said, if anybody is unsure about it, you can contact Abe Side in Huntington, West Virginia. He was the attorney that handled it on the back end. I had a hearing that was coming up, oral arguments in the Fourth Circuit. And right before the hearing, y'all, they stopped it. They said he time barred and they kicked my case out. So I took it further. I'm like, how am I time barred when we were filing through the mail? We were filing through snail mail. Nothing was electronic. I fought these people for 4 years in order to change the laws. And if I would have changed the law, y'all, I would be in the law book. Not only would I be in the law book, but I would have changed. My case law would be changed. I would change the course of prisons all over the country. I would have done that with the stroke of a pen. They stopped it. They had a thing called administrative segregation. They still have it, where they're able to keep where they were selectively choosing who could and couldn't be in the hole. I'm like, you can't do that. This is unconstitutional. They said, yes, we can. I said, no, you can't. And I fought those people. I told a guy named Antoine Gibbs, my man South, he was out of South Carolina. I hate this, y'all. I said, I'm gonna get you out of this hole, man. He said, how, man? I said, don't worry about it, man. I said, I promised him I was gonna get him out the hole, y'all. And I didn't. I'm still upset with me that I didn't get Antoine Gibbs out the hole. And they cheated me. They robbed me of my victory. And I was hurt. Y'all will never hear me admit that very openly much. That hurt me. That really, really hurt me because I knew I had them. When I knew I got to the Fourth Circuit and they told me I had oral arguments, I said, I got you, bitches. You white devil, I got you. And I knew it. Y'all, I swear to God, I knew it. I'll never forget when Side called me down to his office. He said, Awesome, I got some bad news. He said, what? He said, they time barred you. I said, what? I said, they just told me I had oral arguments 2 weeks ago. I said, you sent me the paper. He said, yeah. He said, I've never seen nothing like this in my whole entire life. He said, I've been doing law for 25. I've never seen anything like this. Somebody got to him. They said, you got to stop it. Because if he does this, if he gets this off, it's going to change. It's going to change the way we're able to treat prisoners all over the country, because everybody's going to say, you can't do this because Davis Jr. versus Diamond says this, and they knew it. I'm still mad, y'all. I still haven't quite gotten over it. It put a rage in my heart. Because I know I had him beat. I know I had him beat. And I used the very system that they set up against me, against them, and they knew it too. And they thought I was gonna quit. Similar like this YouTube thing, it's similar like my daughter. They underestimated me. They thought that I would quit. And I just kept going, y'all, for years. Keeping my dates, making sure that, I stayed consistent with my paperwork. No matter what I was doing, I still would make sure I kept that time. I still would make sure I had that going on. And they took that from me. And I never forgot that. So therein lies that, y'all. But I got something else planned for them. Something real, real nice. I learned a hell of a lesson upon that. I won't never have to learn that again. Shout out to Fig. I hope that answers your question, Fixter. Yeah, but I never liked Obama. I always saw him coming. You did a wonderful job. Shout out to Gizmo for being asleep. Yeah, don't bring it up, Ma. You know, don't bring it up. You know, it's like the it's like the boogeyman. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's like Candyman. You say his name say her name 3 times. You know how she is. Shout out to Figure. Hey, Melly. Appreciate you for being in here. How you doing, Melly? Thank you so much for coming. Did the mods hide my comments or something? You got something else in there, Fixter? I thought I read your comments. And the mods not gonna do that. Shout out to Fancy. Sometimes I just read slow, so I might have missed it. Shout out to Fancy Figgy. What was your comment? I'm sure no one removed it. Shout out to Fancy IL. Y'all appreciate Fancy for being in here. Shout out to Figgy. Figgy's in here. Figgy's one of my first supporters. You know what I'm saying? Figgy helped me with one of my first lives. Figgy, great people. I could have handled something better with Figgy, and I was not happy with my behavior. But being the beast I am sometimes, you don't always know how to handle situations properly. And so hopefully I've gotten better with that. I probably haven't. Hopefully I have. Shout out to that girl Figgy A Fancy. It's just above my comment El Cheapo. There are several. I hope am I reading this stuff right, y'all? I'm blessed. Nice to see you. The comments. I have such ladies in my I have such ladies in my comment section. Dead serious about that, y'all. Your loyalty speaks volumes. I have such ladies. I was mentioning this previously, figuring how I have a certain class of black women that supports me, and I have very very classy black women, very very supportive, and they have taken Gizmo in so many different ways, and I get such support. You know, you're gonna always get the naysayers and the trolls, but listen, you come over here trying to troll, these girls get on your head. These ladies, not girls, excuse me. These women will get on your head. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times I don't even have to, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to say much. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're going to let you know because they see me do the work every day. Like they see it. So you can't fake the work because they see it. Shout out to El Cheapo. A lot of this is she took it a step further because she told me that I should start posting more. And Fancy, you know, with her help, you know what I mean. She interviewed me. I did a video with her. It was really really good. So yeah, I have some very quality black women. This is not this is not for, you know, for weak black men. This is not for no hood ratchet ass Section 8 ass sexy red ass bitch. This ain't that over here. Shout out to Fancy Figgy. He'll get to your comments in 20 minutes. Whatever, Fancy. I'm getting that. Let me see. LOL, no words. I was just wondering if they were hitting no words. Did I get to it? I appreciate your accountability always. Yes, indeed, Miss Figgy. Let me see. Figgy, did I read what you wanted to? Did I say? Did I get to it? I hope I did. About you meant about the comment about Obama. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I despise that nigga. I always knew he wasn't shit. But it's not just him. It's Hakeem Jeffries. It's all them fuckers. It's all of them. That Uncle Ru, all of them Maxine Waters, all those career politicians, all of them. All of them. It's funny, yesterday I was walking by and they said they were meeting at this one place. And they said that they was like, man, somebody stopped me. I got the Gizmo. They said, are you an Atlanta resident? I'm like, yeah. It's like it's some politicians in there or something. I said, man, I ain't fuck them. And I kept going. I said, wait a minute. You tripping? I went back. You know what I'm saying? I went back and they were there. And it was 3 politicians, a fat black man, you know what I'm saying, and you know, with some dreads, and a dyke broad, and a Mexican. It sounded like a running joke. Yeah. A fat nigger, a dyke, and a wetback walked into a room, into a bar, and he tell the joke there. But anyway, they were trying to get elected, you know what I'm saying, and this, that, and the third. I said, here we go. You know what I mean? I said, here we go. And once again, y'all, they'll always talk a good game. And I explained a little bit of my story and this, that, and the third. And I said, listen, you people always talk a good game. It's always this now. However, as your career grows, I said, look, you know what I mean? I can get next to you now. You don't have a security detail at this point, right? I can get next to you. I can have a conversation with you. However, if you continue to be elected, if you continue to put yourself and your career goes further, you will then have a security detail. You will then have a budget. You will then have a staff. You will then have opportunity that you couldn't have dreamed of otherwise. You will then right now, you eating, right now your ass is eating ramen noodles like me. Soon, if you play your cards right, you'll be eating steak tartare. Now what? See what I mean? Now you're in the rooms with those people and they're like, hey, listen, man, here's this opportunity over here. This is how things are done at this level. We don't really, there's all type of backdoor dealings. This is how you have, y'all, why do y'all think we have so many black politicians these people, y'all have the sweetest jobs ever. Now, these people are poor right now. But how do y'all think they become millionaires before they leave office? How do y'all think these people end up rich? The public servant salary, it maxes out at about 250,000. Am I lying, my chat? I think the president, y'all, makes about 375-ish. How is it that these people leave? They came in on these salaries, but yet they are able to create generational wealth. Well, they're in the rooms with the people who truly matter, the real the real people that run America, the real people that run the world, the real people that run the stock market. And they like, hey, this is what's going on over here. Here's your opportunity over here. You need to put X and Y over here. That's why their returns yield so much. So when they play the stock market, they're not playing the stock market like you or I. They're playing it at a totally different level. You know what I'm saying? They know they're not going to lose. They know their money. And then you have all of the perks that come with them and so forth and so on. So in the end, yeah, you talk a good game. You'll say what you'll do. But in the end, when it really, really comes down to it, you're going to do what's in the best interest of your bottom line because you don't want to lose that seat. You want to be in a position because everybody knows there's nothing like being a career politician. Right? I mean, come on, y'all. What do they get, y'all? They get access to townhomes and lofts. And they get to fly all over the world on the taxpayer's dime. And you know what I mean? Everything that they do, y'all, is basically for free because they're able to write it all off. I mean, come on. I mean, it's one of the, I mean, it is the sweetest gig you can think of. Why don't y'all think any real change has ever truly been made? Because they already know they can talk a good game, but you just can't rock the boat. Nigga, you can't rock no boat. This is, man, listen, you better stay in your place. Take these shekels. You know what I mean? Shuck and jive. Keep them niggas in line. You good. We got you. Shout out to, no, you missed them. Which one did I miss? Fancy? It's okay. No, it's not okay. I'm off to bed, y'all. Have a wonderful evening. You too, Figgy. I remember your patience. Figgy, I remember your patience. Figgy, I remember your patience with this man. What did she say? Fast. Let me see. Figgy. Hey, Fancy. Figgy. Did my scroll down? You can see my comments. Let me see. I mean, both men were bought and paid. I answered that. I like Ali. I mentioned that. What's your take on Obama? I gave you that. There really is no difference between MLK and Obama. I know I addressed that. He just finished the MLK documentary. Yeah, Figgy, Vaseline. Chad makes incredible and very credible documentaries, though. Let me see. I also named your channel, but you since renamed it. Yeah, Fancy. Not Fancy, but I believe I answered your questions, Fixter. You definitely said where's your twin. I mentioned she was asleep. Scroll down. Well, look at you sleeping. Secret technological game.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Figgy. I don't know if you stayed in here, but I definitely I don't know if you're still in here, but I answered those. I don't see anything else from you. And it would say deleted. I don't know if you went to the did you go off to use the bathroom, and then you always welcome. I'm caught all the way up now, so if you put something I can see it. But yeah, I got the best mods ever. They not gonna, because they know I don't duck no smoke. So you know what I mean? Anything that, you're not, over here trolling, you're asking, if you have a difference of opinion, that's okay as well. You're definitely more than willing, and capable to express it. You know what I'm saying? So no, but I don't see anything else from you. And if I did miss it, then my apologies. It was not intentional. Please note that. But I did address the things that I mentioned. Shout out to I have a one night figure. Yes, I have a blissful night figure. Indeed. So chat. That's where we at. That's where we at. It takes guts to be who you want to be, and a lot of times these people are behind me. They don't have it, and you can know what you're made of, because when you're tested, that's the only way you can know really what you're made of. You got to be tested. You got to be tested, and then we can see who everyone is or what everyone is. Nobody knows what they are until they actually go through something. And depending on how you go through it, and I mentioned this previously, it's not just about going through something, it's how you go through it. You got to go through it the right way in order to get, in order to get, in order to, in order to get the, in order to get the nectar that you're supposed to get, in order to get the sustenance back. If you didn't go through it the right way, then you missed it. Shout out to Fancy. I've never followed nor listened to any of them folks on YouTube. Yeah, they don't really have much value other than to drag their own people, and to say things, to regurgitate a lot of white racist talking points. That's really all they have. You know what I mean? If every now and then, maybe somebody will say, but like I say, it's. Oh, see, you see what I mean? My did this. I just heard her. My, this is your fault. I know I heard her. I get nervous. And y'all, the gizmo be having me scared because I. But yeah, y'all. But I think that's basically it for this. That's basically it for this live. I believe we encapsulated what was important. Thank y'all for being in here with me. Y'all could have been anywhere on this Monday evening. I thank y'all so much. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to my mods. Shout out to the Fixer for coming through. My Fancy, El Cheapo, Melly, name y'all specifically. Thank y'all so much for coming through. You ladies could have been anywhere, but you definitely came through. Shout out to Ross the Boss. Shout out to anybody who, you know what I mean, who supports the Awesome and the Gizmo show. I can never be what my people will not allow. A man, I'll leave y'all with this. Man never was what time was not. I'll give y'all an opportunity to cover. I'll give y'all an opportunity to ponder that a little deeper. Man never was what time was not. Hey y'all, let me tell you something. My clothes getting a little. I'm trying to bust out this shirt like I'm some kind of hawk or something. I'm starting to bust out these. I got to be careful, y'all, doing all that work I'm doing on these shoulders and this back. It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic. Shout out to my, what did I do? Oh, yeah, cause you woke up, you Gizmo. You know what you did. Tell me, she sleep. You did a good job. And I just heard her back there stirring. I just heard her back there. Everybody go listen to, who is that? Who made that, my? I got the power. I'm looking right at him. What's that group? What's that? Somebody help me out. What's that group? It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic. I'm mad at y'all night. I'm mad at y'all head all night. Awesome sitting,